Hello everybody and welcome to Going for Goldbridge. We're back answering your questions. We've got some cracking questions today. One of them, I don't even know how I'm going to word it. It's ridiculously vulgar, but it made me sort of think, so I must do it. Also, the ultimate truth to one question you could have answered. What would it be? Get us in with that. Another question that had me thinking way too logically about it, which was if you could lose one body part, what would it be? You've got to lose one, what would it be? And I spent at least 20 minutes thinking it through. We'll go through that in a moment. But I wanted to start off with something while it's fresh in my head before I get into your questions. You know, this modern phenomenon with social media is absolutely, it's good and it's bad. We've spoke about that before. But the people who lie on social media to try and make themselves appear better. I was driving back yesterday from family in Nottingham, and there was something on the radio about ring in with your stories that you laugh at now, but at the time were quite annoying. And there was one and it was like, well, we were going on holiday. They weren't posh. They were from Birmingham, and I can't do a Birmingham accent, and it even irritates me when I do one. So we were going on holiday. Everything was packed the night before. It was my son's wedding. It was a holiday of a lifetime. He was getting married the next day, so we'd cut it a little bit fine, but we were getting up early in the morning to get the flight, and then we were going to get there in the morning, get ready and go straight to the venue. And we left everything all packed, and the passports were on the kitchen side table and everything like that. We were ready. When we got up in the morning, the dog had got up and ate the passports. And she's laughing as she's telling the story. And I'm like going, if this did happen, the dog's been put down and it wasn't a funny story. Or you've sat there this morning when this has come on and thought, I'm just going to make up a load of bollocks to try and get myself on the radio. It's like saying, oh, there's this really funny time. We're having a dinner party. And instead of putting a jug of water on the table, I put a jug of paint thinner. Everyone drank it. 2 people died. Some of them had really, really bad stomach problems for the rest of their lives. But it was a funny story. It's just not true, is it? And I don't know, as I get older or whatever, but I become much more cynical, and I just think I just sit there and listen to these call-ins on radios when I'm driving back bored, and I'm like, you absolutely are talking shit, aren't you? You've got no decent story to tell, so you're absolutely talking shit. Which brings me on to my first question, which we're going to talk about. Best reason for throwing a sickie ever. And this was from @Daz_W89. I tell you what, I think we've all been in this situation, so you'll all have your own little stories for this, but I was always very proud when I actually was sick. Like, I had, when you phone up, you don't phone up school, when you phone up work, and I presume you still do it. What I always hated about it was, if I was hungover, or I just didn't feel that great, or I had a bit of a stomach ache, or I just didn't want to go into work, or there was a new game out that I wanted to play for the week, you phone up and you always go, can I speak to the boss please, yeah? And then when you get to your boss, oh yeah, I just feel really bad. Yeah, I've been throwing up and I've got a cold, or I just feel rubbish. Yeah, I'll phone you tomorrow if I'm not going to be back. In fact, I'll probably won't be back tomorrow. I'll phone you on Wednesday, and then Wednesday, I just don't feel any. Who talks like that? Like, even when you're really ill, you don't talk like that. You don't go, oh, hello, can I just have a bottle of Lucozade and some soup, please? Like, my wife would smack me in the face, and she's not a violent person. She said, why can't you just talk properly? I know you've got a temperature, and I've just seen you throwing up out of both ends. You don't need to talk to me like a twat. You don't. So that always irritated me. And as a boss as well, it irritated me even more, because my first assumption when somebody phoned sick, I'm sorry, I'm going to give you the other side now. When I was a boss, and people will be saying you're bullshitting there. Oh, another fake story. No, I actually was for a little bit. I did do quite a lot of management in a few jobs, actually. Sometimes temporary, sometimes permanent. But enough of that boring stuff. So I'd get the phone call from them. And here's an insider from the boss. It doesn't matter whether you're really ill or not. My first assumption when you phone up is that you're faking it anyway. You could be dead in a week, and I'd still think, well, I think for those first couple of days he was faking it, or she was faking it. So it's knowing that, and I think you know that anyway. You know that when you're the worker, when you phone up, that they don't believe you anyway. So you try and ham it up, sort of like going for an Oscar for illness. Oh yeah, I'm not feeling that well. So the best reasons for me, the question was best reason for throwing a sickie. When I first moved to Ireland, I genuinely think it was something to do with the water, and I'm not going to be scientific with you, but water has different hardness levels. Have we spoken about masturbation yet? Oh, anyway, we're back to that. I don't think I've mentioned that, have I? I think that was in the video I clipped. I just lost my way. But yeah, there's hardness to water, and I think if water's quite hard, it can affect you sort of. Anyway, I ended up getting constipated quite regularly, which led to complications downstairs, which were very painful. Like, you think about trying to force a melon out the size of a hole of a ping pong ball. It's going to stretch and it's going to hurt, and it might just tear. That's the end of the conversation, because it makes me hurt. So anyway, I had this, and I was like, I can't go to work. I've got to go to the doctor and go to the hospital. And they did, and they gave me like about 10 days off work because they had to stitch and stuff like that. It was horrible. But you see, I'll always tell you the truth. And no, it wasn't from anything going up. It was definitely something coming out. I'm nothing against that, people wanting to do that. But for me, it's sealed. You know, it's polyfiller time. Nothing's going up. It's all coming out. And sometimes out of this, people would say. But yeah, so I was very proud when I phoned up to work with that, because when you've actually had something go wrong with you, and I just thought I could have told a totally different story without exposing that previous injury. I could have just said the time I tried to get on a train, which everybody knows about, and I smashed my shin. But when you actually have a legit reason, you're very. I always found I was very proud when I phone up, because I'm like, you can think I'm faking it if you want. Come round and inspect my ass. In fact, don't do that. But, you know, yeah, so the reason was probably that. And I think it probably took my boss back. And, you know, they left me alone for a long time. Because when somebody rings up and says, yeah, well, I went to the toilet last night and I tore my arse, and I've been in hospital and I've had stitches and I'm going to be off for 10 days. There's not really anywhere for them to go. They probably remember as a boss that story as their, you know, most weirdest, like, uncomfortable story of why somebody was off sick. But yeah, I was quite proud of that. And, you know, I think when you're genuinely ill, you are, aren't you? I just can't stand. Anyway, that was a long-winded answer. Right, this question from Jake at Jake Wilders 12. This will blow your mind. I mean, this was on Twitter. I always put it up on Twitter at Mark Goldbridge. Going for Goldbridge. Get your questions in below, and I'll pick the questions from there. This question sort of is vulgar and wrong. But it did make me think. And basically, just think of whatever animal you want. I mean, I think it was a dog, right? And I sort of want to say something in between this before going to that, because I don't even want the dog and this statement to even be close together. But at Jake Wilders 12 said, serious question, would you rather have sex with that animal I just mentioned and nobody finds out about it, or not have sex with that animal and everyone thinks you've had sex with it? I mean, we live in that world now, don't we? Where, you know, rumours go round and they don't necessarily have to be true or not. But I tell you what, Jake, one, your mind is just mad. You shouldn't be worrying about those sort of scenarios. And two, if I had to choose between those two scenarios, I definitely would rather know that I hadn't had sex with that animal, and people can say what they bloody well like, you know, because it's not true and I haven't done it. So I would, to do it and nobody know about it, rather than people put out a fake malicious rumour about you. I think I'll definitely take the fake malicious rumour every time. Jake, if it's bothering you that much, please do go and get some help. GCSE results very quickly. Nathan Footy said, what was yours? I did very bad at my GCSEs. I think I got 3 C's. And the only reason I didn't redo them is because I got C's in English and maths, which is basically what you need to go and do other things. So yeah, but I did absolutely terrible, to be honest with you. At Shivam MUFC says, what do you think about Gemma Collins being an icon? Well, she's this thing that was on a reality program over here called The Only Way Is Essex, and she's done very well for herself. I've got to be honest, that question struck a nerve, because every time she's on the telly it makes me want to throw up. I would rather go and sit watching Robbie from Arsenal Fan TV have a shit than watch Gemma Collins on my TV. That's how much she turns my stomach. And look, I'm sure a lot of people would pay good money to have a chat with Robbie while he has a dump. I wouldn't like it. I can't stand the smell of mine without anybody else's. But no, Gemma Collins as a celebrity icon was the question. Look, there's some clowns out there that are celebrity icons. That's the world. It's diversity. I'm not going to get angry about it. I don't think anybody should. Of course, she's talentless and irritating as far as I'm concerned, but obviously she's made a lot of money out of it. Well done. Move on. Next question. What was this one? Oh no, I've gone back to that question from Jake. It's just there. I don't know. I don't know, Jake. I'm a little bit worried with you. Didn't happen. Yes, we've done that. Total truth to one question. The total truth to one question. So if you could have the total truth to one question, what would it be? Don't waste it asking Ole Gunnar Solskjaer why didn't sign a midfielder in the summer. We're talking big style here. You could have. Will there ever be, a cure for cancer, or what is the cure for cancer? I mean, I don't. What are your parameters with this question, by the way? Because I don't even know who asked it. I haven't got to put their name next to it, so I apologise for that. But total truth to one question. Is it coming from humans or is it coming from God? Which I suppose is a question itself. Is there such thing as God? What happens after death? So yeah, what would your total question to that be? So mine would be, if I could have total truth to one question, and obviously anything is possible, and I would expect people would go with something really big. To be honest with you, I just would want the ingredients and the simple, straightforward instructions and quantities to making a Whopper from Burger King. I would like that. The total truth to that question, because I could make one every time I wanted one. I really like one, but it would have to be the exact details. I want exact proportions, bun size, how you get it that thin, the sauce, everything. And if I've got that, I'm happy with that, because then I know I can have a big Burger King Whopper every time I want one. And people say, well, you know what a waste of a question that is. But it's my answer. And also, what is there after, is there another planet out there with life on it? Am I ever going to see it? No. Find that in the next 30 years, are we? So I ain't going to see it anyway, so it's an irrelevant thing. What is there an end to space, or does it go on forever and ever? Again, that's just going to mess around with my head, because humans, we live in a world with limitations. Everything dies, everything crumbles. It's, we know that. Having to deal with the fact that we live in something that's going on forever and ever and ever just messes with my mind. Life after death, look, if there is one, great. If there isn't, I'm not going to know about it. So, you know what? Just give me my Whopper. Give me my Whopper. I want to talk about perfection in a moment, not because I'm perfect, because I spoke about dealing with stress and confidence last week, and people were like, you should always do a little bit of that. So we'll do that a little bit of that in a moment. I was going to open up with this topic. Right, I was down the pub the other night, and somebody said, do you think there'll ever be a time when masturbation is a crime? And obviously, that's not something where you drink your pint and just go, no. You go back to that and go, what? Where's that coming from? And basically, the point to the question was, we live in a world now where everybody's offended by everything. And effectively, to have sex, and masturbation and sex is always an issue for people. Always, some people just get really funny about it. I can't believe he said that. He's so immature. Well, I'm not immature. I'm sat here as a human being because somebody decided to have sex. And masturbation is half of sex, isn't it? So if you masturbate, if you do, it's up to you. You are effectively wasting something that could be used to make a human life, unless you're firing blanks, in which case it's not going to be... The point is, I suppose, that this question, which is just, and even now I'm thinking, why have I mentioned this, is if that is to be used to create life, are you effectively not giving those sperm a chance? But to be honest, it's a bollocks point, isn't it? But I think the point of the person saying it was that we live in a world now where everybody's offended by everything. Would it surprise you if 10, 20 years' time somebody was saying that it was a crime? And I just, we worked through this a lot longer than I've worked through it, but all I just said is, at the end of the day, if it does become a crime, we're all going down for life. I'll get the drinks in. We've done that one. Most overrated movie you've ever watched. That's from WKG George, TPMF on Twitter. Mean Streets with Harvey Keitel, absolute bore. I thought it was going to be an absolute classic. Some people it is. I thought it was absolutely shit. And I watched a really bad film the other week actually, and it's going to get it because it's one of the most recent films I've watched. Liam Neeson is somebody who did Schindler's List. Like, he is a critically acclaimed actor who, over the last sort of 5 to 10 years, seems to have just got lazy and decided, I'm just going to do different variants of Taken. I will find you and I will kill you. Best hide and seek player ever. But no, he has gone down that road. And what I would say about Liam Neeson is I cannot stand Jason Statham. Bores the shit out of me, his films. But Liam Neeson, because I've always liked him, I can watch his action films, even though they're just repetitive and the same story. Someone's nicked your wife. someone's killed your daughter, someone stole your rubbish, you know, whatever. You're going to go and get revenge. That's what you're going to do, and you're going to win. It's the same old bloody story. So this film came up, and I was like, I wanted to watch a film. I hadn't seen it. Cold Pursuit. Oh, it's crap. And some people actually said it was good. And I was like, it's just crap. I absolutely hated it. Every time someone died, they did this like cut to screen of like their name and stuff. It was just shite, absolute shite. But it wasn't as bad as Mean Streets. Nowhere as I'm concerned. Body part you wouldn't mind losing. Look, I spent too much time thinking about this. I was like, people are going to say toes, but toes are intrinsically linked to your balance, and you know you're going to have to really adjust to learning how to walk again and things like that. And then you're getting into big things like, you know, you don't want to lose your arm, you don't want to lose your legs, or you don't want to lose what's between your legs, as I said last week. So I just, you know, spent so long thinking about this, and actually I just decided I'll just lose one of my little fingers. And it's not ideal, people are going to look and everything like that. But I thought, you know what, I probably can get around without that. So I'd lose that one. I don't know why I'd keep my left one. I think sometimes I like that. But I don't really use that one. So yeah, that's what I would go with. I mean, that's a boring question, but I spent so long thinking about it. Yeah, so great. Thanks for that one. The next thing I want to talk about is perfection. Is anybody perfect? Was sort of the question. And should we all strive to be positive? Positivity and perfection. Should we always strive to find the positive in everything? And is there such thing as somebody being perfect? Everybody farts, everybody masturbates, and so perfection is, for me, perfection is just being the best person you can be. Everybody's got their faults, everybody's got their moods, everybody's got their vices. They do. Everybody I've ever met, and I'm sure that maybe there is somebody out there in Tibet who's, you know, up on a mountain, just, you know, like these monks, you know, doing masterful masturbation. That's not what they're doing. Yoga and all that stuff, Pilates, whatever they do, and I respect that. But I just think that, and also on positivity, I just want to say this straight away. Why should you find the positivity in everything? You know, bad things happen to people. You know, really bad things happen to people. When I was down the pub on Saturday, was like, I don't go home that much. So when I do go home, you'll always get the story of, oh, remember such and such from school. Oh yeah, well on the weekends they were doing this and this happened, and horrible. So, you know, and that happens to people to their friends and their family and stuff like that. So you can't find the positivity in everything, and you shouldn't have to find the positivity in everything, because that's the great thing about life. The highs are high, the lows are low, and there are some bad things that happen. And why should you not react to that with despair and negativity at times? It's the full emotional merry-go-round of human life that makes us who we are. If everything was just good all the time, then you wouldn't appreciate it as much, because you wouldn't remember the bad things and things like that, and the journey to being good. So positivity all the time. And there are people out there who try to be positive all the time. I've got nothing against that, but you can't always be like that. You've got to not embrace, but you've got to experience the bad sides. You've got to experience concern. You've got to experience fear. You've got to experience everything that life throws at you, and hopefully you have a long and happy life. But so yeah, positivity in the face of everything, for me, I think is just bullshit. You know, always look on the bright side of life is a great song, but in reality, yeah, are you going to say that when, you know, I'm not even going to say horrible stuff, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Horrible stuff can happen, and you're not just going to go, oh well, always look on the bright side of life. You might do after a few months when you've got over it, but that the body's got to go through these emotions and deal with these emotions. As for perfection, again, look, people make mistakes. Like one of the things I was like thinking about today, and it was to do with Gary Neville, actually, because he was asked a question on Stanley Collymoore's podcast about would he change the naming rights to Old Trafford, because a lot of football clubs, they sell the naming rights to their stadium and it becomes like the Etihad or the Emirates Stadium or whatever. And United's called Old Trafford, and it's been called that. They're not paid for that. It's a historic, sacred name for Manchester United. And Gary Neville basically said, if I was in charge of Manchester United, I would sell the naming rights and I'd use all that money to make cheaper tickets for fans. It's a very moral and good idea. Straight away, as soon as I read that, I was like, well, Manchester United make loads of profit already. Why don't you just use the profit that's already there to reduce the ticket prices and keep the sacred and historical name of Old Trafford? And I thought, you know what? I've given my opinion there. But that is not taken away from Gary Neville's good idea. I think it's slightly flawed, like I say. But he's given an opinion there. And then everyone else comes in with an opinion and goes, oh, that's a stupid idea, or that's a good idea. So, look, perfection's never going to be there, is it? Because what is perfection? Somebody's good deed could be seen as a cynical or a bad idea. So perfection, how does perfection exist in a world full of different opinions? And that's what I like about the world, is that there is so many different opinions out there, and different opinions can be such a good thing if it's in the right area, because you can come up with, like when I, going back to being a boss and stuff like that, yeah, I knew what I was doing a lot of the time, but if I was a bit unsure about something, I always felt that getting a few opinions from people and then, you know, it makes you think is a good idea. So opinions are very important, and I don't think there is such a thing as a perfect person, to be honest with you. I've met a lot of people in my life who are very intelligent, but totally seem to lack common sense or life experience for some reason. I don't know why. I can't think of many people I've met that are highly intelligent and brilliant people person as well. There always seems to be that give and take, and you know, intelligent people can make silly decisions because they're not entwined with humans. You know, they've got no common sense, or they're not good people. They might have the logical answer, but they might not be able to get that across to human beings in a part. I think I'm rambling a bit today. I think I actually am. I think I actually am starting to ramble a bit. I tried to talk about something like last week, which I think was a better topic. But ultimately, positivity all the time. No, I think it's fine to, you know, be a bit fed up and sad at times, as long as you don't let it overtake you, because there is always positivity to be found. It might just be a bit of a journey. There's no button, is there? There's no button you can press that makes you suddenly happy. We're back to masturbation again. And there's no button that you can press that's going to make you, you know, optimistic or anything like that. You've got to work at it sometimes. That's what I think. I think people put too much pressure on themselves. I think there is and I think this is the problem with social media, especially when you look at Instagram and stuff like that. You just constantly see these people. Oh, look at me and my family today. Oh, look at my life. Look at my life. Facebook's the same, this, that, and the other. Why don't they take a picture of themselves having a shit or throwing up? Or stuff like that, because they don't want you to see that. They want everyone wants to show the world how great their life is, and that brings an expectation and that brings a pressure. But that's not life. That's not life. And the great thing about what I do now is, and I don't call myself a celebrity or anything like that. I can't be doing with that. I hate it. But we do have an audience. What we do with the United Stand. The great thing is, I had many years doing many other things, and I sort of feel sorry for a lot of these kids who get famous at like 15, 16, 17, 18, and they're still doing it into their 20s, and they're still churning out the same stuff. And I'm like, that's great, but are you going to burst at some time, or are you just going to continue down this road of what is, you know, a bubble? Because mentally, it must put a strain on them. It must do, because I get that strain doing what I do. But I also I'm grounded because of the people I've got around me, that I've had around me for a long time, the jobs I've done in the past, the experiences I've done in the past. It keeps me grounded, and it makes me realise that this world that I live in, as much as I enjoy it, and I do enjoy what I do, it's also not real. What's real is when you go out and you speak to people and that you know and stuff like that, and you live your life normally. So, yeah, look, life is a journey. You got to work at it. But one thing I would say is, don't get drawn into, oh, my life's not great. Look at everyone else's life. It's better than mine. Everybody I know, and I know some people who are very successful, they struggle. They do struggle. They just keep the barrier up. But it drops. Sometimes, and they do struggle. Everybody struggles. That's life. Thanks everyone for watching. Keep smiling. Stay positive. That was a crap wink. Hope you enjoyed it. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe if you're new. I'll be back again next week with this. And yeah, thanks for watching.